We have a Bears game to talk about.
And
Are you ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly, everybody?
It was just like the wrestling matches.
We are indeed talking about this Bears loss to the Cincinnati Bengals in week 2 of the NFL preseason, and it was 27-9. The Bears don't even crack double digits in this one, and boy, oh boy, that's got to piss off one Ben Johnson right there.
Well, this was his first loss in the preseason games as a head coach of Chicago Bears, so he probably took it hard as well.
He was not happy after this one, folks. And I don't know if it's because of the quality of the questions he was being asked.
I have to go back. I got to watch the tape. Hard to say without watching the tape. I got to go back and I got to watch that tape. I can't speak on specific positions right here or individuals right now without looking at the tape, guys.
I think that just added to the head coach's irritation in this post-game press conference. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out because it's, a little bit entertaining in retrospect and, just to make light of the fact that it is just a preseason game.
Exactly. But I will point this out. Caleb said the best. Each game they treat it as its own thing. It's a game, and nobody felt good about how the game ended.
The reason why Caleb Williams was speaking to the media, KeNikka, is because he played last night, everybody. I was kind of shocked / surprised to see number 18 go trotting in the game right off the top.
And according to Ben Johnson, they needed more reps.
9 reps, I believe he counted. Caleb was on the field, we said. There was some good and there was some bad. So we're going to talk about it. But I think it's kind of appropriate in a 27-9 preseason loss to start with the ugly. This week, the ugly column is the full column, and the bad and the good are lacking. And I think this was just an ugly game overall, KeNikka.
Ugly start.
The start was ugly.
We penalties
had a penalty
were ugly
on the very first offensive drive. Braxton Jones, who's in a huge battle right now for the left tackle position. More on that in 1 second. But it wasn't just him. The effort looked and felt lacking in all phases for the Bears last night. Even a fumbled punt return at one point. It was recovered, but it was bobbled. It was just
sloppy.
It was sloppy. It was the opposite of clean.
Yes.
It was the opposite of what I've grown to expect out of a Ben Johnson head coached football team.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Which I think explains a lot of his displeasure after the game.
And I know we had these questions, and one thing you did mention is this was their third game within those few days, considering practice and the other practice and stuff like that. So they were tired. But
just to clarify what KeNikka's talking about, the Bears went to Cincinnati on Wednesday. They practiced against the first string Bengals all day on Thursday against our first stringers. They had actually defense their offense against our defense on one field and our offense against their defense on another field, both first stringers going at it for, different situational periods. And these are joint practices that in a lot of ways have taken the place of the preseason reps. There was a lot more reps on tape with the first teamers on Thursday than there was in last night's preseason game, which was televised to all of us. But nevertheless, this was the third day that the Bears were in Cincinnati. I'm not using that as an excuse for their play last night, but I bet if I were to ask people off the record on the team, they would probably all say we're ready to go home at this point because they already got beaten to hell on Thursday.
Exactly. And there was not a lot of rest between those days where normally you have a week.
Throw in the August summer heat on top of it, which exhausts you.
Yes.
And then the game was at the evening time of the third day. So you had 2 full days of sun and you just don't. I'm not making excuses, like I said, but I think that this honestly might have been a factor last night.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that we got that out of the way, it was still ugly, man. And I hated watching every second of it.
That is one big pile of shit.
I want to go back to the Braxton Jones penalty on the first drive because everything was looking actually pretty good before that, right? Caleb had the nice pass to Rome Odunze when he rolled out of the pocket, and then he hit his favorite target, Colston Loveland, in an out route, and that was a first down, and we were looking crisp and sharp. Next thing you know, penalty. Braxton Jones, and I felt like the whole drive got derailed at that point. Caleb missed 3 passes in a row after that. He started 2 for 2, ended this game 2 for 5.
It's a damn shame. A damn shame.
Felt like everything got discombobulated from that penalty, and that can happen, you know? Like one penalty can derail an entire drive like that, and it's a good reminder ahead of the regular season of what not to do on the opening drive, because the Bears should have put up 7 points here. Instead, we kind of got last year's Bears a little bit. Slow starting out of the gate, not looking crisp in the first half here. That penalty was the first of 11 penalties for the Bears tonight, and that's another trend from the beginning of last year that we don't want to be going back towards. Now, in the Bears' defense here, the crew last night that was officiating this game calls the most penalties in the NFL. So maybe that's a good thing that they were being ticky-tacky and nitpicky before the season starts as well, because maybe it'll get easier depending on if and when they draw this crew again.
Well, it doesn't really, whatever crew you get, you're going to get. The penalties, whether they are correct or not, they need to be cleaned up.
They do.
And they did that last season. And 11 penalties from the second and third stringer is not looking good.
So you concur?
I know those guys were amped up and they were fighting for their jobs,
but
trying
that's
to do
part of
good.
this. And Braxton, he's experienced enough to know
exactly.
better. Like he should know how to get himself calm before the snap.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't be a rabid dog out there, you know, just because Ben Johnson's the coach. I get it. He's an intense dude, but you got to
Yes.
play within your element.
Yeah. This isn't Looney Tunes, you know?
No touchdowns, single-digit points, very un-Ben Johnson-like all across the board.
Considering they want to score the most points, that was not the game.
No, that's not how you do it, guys. It's
Trending the wrong direction.
Absolutely. But we got to get to some bad.
Okay.
Because I'm going to stay where I was last week. The left tackle position continues to be a problem. Braxton Jones plays this week. Didn't really make a difference. We got a lot of mediocre play at left tackle across the board. Theo Benedict, the same. It's not just me saying it. It's not just KeNikka saying it. This is the general consensus amongst Bears fans who actually watched all of this game last night. And we didn't watch all of it, but we watched enough of it to know that this is not impressive.
No. Do you think they're going to bring somebody out of waiver wires just to fill in the position before Ozzie gets his confidence back?
I'll say this much. I think if they don't, it tells us that Ozzie Trapillo is closer to returning than not. But I think it's something that Ben Johnson does not want to go into this season with.
It's a very important position. It's a blind side from Caleb. You need somebody that you can trust and rely on.
I'm disappointed, KeNikka. Out of Braxton Jones, Kironn Amegadjie, and Dedrick Wills Jr., that not one of them has risen to the challenge of taking this job, which is right there for the taking.
Yes.
And that just tells me about all 3 of them that they're not Ben Johnson material.
Denied.
If we're having this conversation after 2 preseason games when someone should have solidified the position by now, and we're all counting like, when's Ozzie going to be back? When's Ozzie going to be back? And I think, again, you know, like even though he got activated, it's wishful thinking that he's going to be a contributing factor even in September.
Yeah.
And Ben Johnson cannot wait until October to get this offensive line solidified. I think, yes, if this does not resolve itself in the next week, then you might see a waiver wire transaction of some kind. Taylor Decker still comes to mind. He's out there. He's on the record saying he won't play for the Packers and the Bears, but money talks and money walks.
Show me the money!
I think the rookies on defense are playing better.
Well, they
as
got
far as
something to
competing for a
prove.
job, you
Sure,
know, like,
sure.
oh, this guy's injured, I'm going to take the job. You know, at least that's the attitude. Or Jordan Vandenberg's like, I don't care who's playing in front of me. I'm from Georgia. I'm going to go kick some ass.
You cannot always rely on the rookies either. They are rookies. They are learning. They are projects.
Yes.
Some are better than others.
Jordan Vandenberg was a beast, you know, and
That falls into the good category.
yeah. Let's officially transition. You know, okay, left tackle,
Disaster.
bad left tackle.
Come on,
2
guys.
weeks in a row. you got one more week to get out of the bad category. One person.
Step up. Be the man. Be the saving grace.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, is there saving grace for our defensive line, KeNikka? Because, of course, the defensive line is probably the biggest question mark for the Bears going into the 2026 season. And yet there were some bright spots last night, everybody.
Oh, we got one good player.
Well,
no, we got a few.
Bears rookie Jordan Van Den Berg continues to impress from the sidelines, at least to the media and to the coaches. And he looks like the real deal out there. He looks fast, We're seeing that speed and athleticism from that RAS score show up on the field. You know, he was so athletic coming out of the draft, but a 6th rounder, and he looks like maybe one of the steals.
He looks like he wants to belong to the Bears. He looks like he wants to play.
Ironic for someone that was apparently a Packer fan when he was in college, everybody.
Well, things change.
Yeah, things do change. And, you know, I'm glad he's taken to the team, to the roster. And I think, you know, you got to put things in perspective sometimes. It's year 2 of a
new coach,
culture change. And I think the more years Ben Johnson's in charge, the more quick rookies will get onboarded into the system year over year over year. And it's just because of the personnel change, and it's not there yet. There's players on this team that he wishes were not on this team. I know it.
Of course. He wished he had an open purse.
He doesn't have his whole, like, 53-man Ben Johnson approved roster yet. And again, this is why we think that they're probably not going to get that scoring record this year, even though it is the goal, and it should be the goal.
I think they're going to break the franchise records this year.
Yeah.
Caleb's going to get the 4,000 passing yards.
Sure.
As far as NFL, yeah, it's still out of reach based on those 2 preseason games.
Never tell me the odds.
KeNikka.
Yes.
We also had a motivated Dio Odangbo sighting last night.
He was a little motivated.
He had a little hit on the quarterback. And but I do want to point out, on one of the snaps prior to that, he jumped up in the air and, like, big no-no for a defensive lineman to jump before the ball is thrown, at least. You're taking yourself out of the play. His job is to get quarterback. Do not leave feet until necessary.
But, yes, he did have a nice sack, I guess.
He had a nice hit.
Yeah,
it was
nice
a rush. He got the quarterback to maybe rush out of his pass, but either way, you know, good to see a little bit of light on that defensive line. It's been such a problem for so long, and you know, very unbear-like, I think, for a lot of fans to deal with, because, you know, we're traditionally such a tenacious team up front, you know, on defense especially. And so,
well, we also
we are waiting.
Yes. And then we still don't know what is happening with Kyler Gordon.
Oh, well,
He was there, but
I've heard some bad things about that just from listening to the radio on a regular basis. But I guess the one thing I'll say about Kyler Gordon is I would not expect to see him in the first half of the season.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I would maybe target week 11 for Kyler Gordon's return now if I was a betting man. I don't think you see him before then.
I know, and he needs some motivation, I feel like. And I don't know where he's going to find it.
There's a disconnect somewhere there.
Yep.
And when we talk about Ben Johnson approved players, that's
He's
right
not
now
one of them.
one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that. I want to get to a couple more good things before we get out of here. We had 250 yards receiving, 120 yards after the catch, which is something Ben Johnson has been preaching and talking about. Like, we got to get these receivers in open space and get them moving with the ball and making even more yards after the point they catch the ball. So I thought that was almost half of our yards receiving last night came after the ball was caught. That's a good thing. That's something that, if that continues, you know, that's just going to add to Caleb's yardage total throughout the season. Like you were talking about, breaking the franchise record at least. That's how he can do it. That's how it's going to help. And I just think overall, even though it was an ugly game last night, the Bears are fast still. There were moments where you could see Dylan Thieneman, Devin Bush, Malik Muhammad all crashing on the receiver at once, like closing on the running back at once. And it was like, okay, there is some light here, you know, like, and now they need to work on playing more consistent and just probably playing with the number ones for a whole game.
Absolutely. That was my observation as well. When, even though we said the Bears started lethargic and they were not as crisp from the get-go, but you could see how quick they go after the ball.
Yes.
And how quickly they respond.
And even sometimes on like incompletes, you see players running to the ball until the whistle's blown. That's a very Lovie Smith trait from his coaching days of the Bears. Just to recap here before we get out of here, the left tackle is a big question mark this week. And it is a big week because the final roster must be turned in on Sunday.
So we're gonna have tryouts.
The Bears need to flush this game and get ready for a rough week of practice because the head coach himself, he is not happy about the effort. And I think that might get brought onto the practice field this week. So buckle up, folks. It's the final countdown before the regular season. One more practice game to go against the Titans. We'll see what happens. We'll be following it here on the KeNikka Sports Channel.